Hey, I found some sunlight. Hi guys, let's make some flourless chocolate cake while I tell you some things about myself. This is one of my favorite treats to make because it's so easy and it's like so chocolatey. It fills every craving of chocolate that I have. The only ingredients are chocolate, butter, sugar, eggs. So easy. I always just use whatever chocolate I have at the time. I have these from Valentine's Day, and then I have this. You can use various chocolates. So my name's Lucy. I'm 23. Try this chocolate. This is good. First step is just melting butter and chocolate. I'm just cutting this so it melts a little better. I'm just gonna put this in the microwave. Okay. So my favorite thing to do besides cook is surf. I love surfing. I've been surfing for just like 4 years. And I graduated from college last year. I got my bachelor's degree in teaching English to speakers of other language, TESOL or ESL. And my minor was mandarin Chinese. Okay, this is all melted and mixed together. This is my sourdough that I'm also baking right now. Preheat our oven. One of my best tips for baking is an oven thermometer. I just keep this hanging in the oven. I've come to find out since using this that like all ovens are off on temperature, so this is really helpful. Oh yeah, college. So I graduated last year, and so far with my degree, I've taught English class at my university, which was so fun. So my university is like 70% international students from Asia and Pacific Island. Taught like a English listening class. I taught 3 classes, I don't really remember. But it was so fun. And I don't want to get my PhD, so I will not be doing that again. Honestly, I've always planned to start a YouTube for teaching English. I forgot about that plan and I haven't done that. Okay, back to the recipe. We're adding a 1/2 cup of sugar, 2.5 eggs, because I'm making half the batch. We had 1 at a time though, so there's 1. And I love this thing. I got it for my birthday. A wireless mixer. So I can cook anywhere I want. You don't even have to use this. I normally use a whisk, but this is easier. So we just mix it in. Another egg. Mix it in again. Add 1/2 an egg. There's about 1/2 an egg white, 1/2 a yolk. Now we mix this. Add our oh wait, this is kind of warm. I'm gonna wait a minute to add this. But yeah, that's it. Then you add that together, add a little bit of cocoa powder, and it's done. So besides us surfing and cooking, I also love traveling. My stepdad worked for American Airlines, so we grew up like traveling a lot because we could fly for free, and I could still fly for free for a little bit less than 1 more year until I turn 24. So I'm actually going to Portugal in a couple of days for like a surf trip. It's really cheap there and it's free. I think it cost me like $60 to fly there. I'm trying to do all the trips this year before I have to pay for flights. So one other place I'm gonna go is South Korea because it's normally so expensive to go there, but it's only like $35 round trip. So I need to go there this year, and then also I do want to go to India really bad. It's been at the top of my list for a really long time. Okay, so this is cooled down. We're gonna pour this in. Another hobby of mine, or like passion of mine, I guess, is plants. I'm obsessed with any plant that's edible. I don't really care about the ones that aren't edible, but if you can eat it, then I'm into it. So I like foraging. I like finding out like what plants around me are edible or not. I've always been really interested in that. And I go on a walk pretty often in the neighborhood, and almost every time I go, I find something new that's edible that I didn't realize is edible. So there's a lot of things out there. Okay, our last ingredient is cocoa powder. It's only a 1/2 tablespoon. You can also add a 1/2 tablespoon of flour. And I wanted to show you guys some of my cocoa powder collection. This is just part of it. This is my favorite, raw cacao powder. Then we have this one I recently got, which is 22 to 24% cocoa butter. So it's like high in fat. If you add it to like baking stuff, it's supposed to make it more moist. And the flavor of this is really good. It's a very specific, I think the beans they use is a similar like variety as the ones I used when I made chocolate. This is Valrhona, which is like a fancy, I like this. To me, cocoa powder is a good way to taste different chocolates because it's like the pure form of it. Every morning I make chocolate milk. I use different cocoa powders, and milk and chocolate, you can really taste what the cocoa powder tastes like. So anyways, we're just adding 1/2 tablespoon. This is all our ingredients. That's it. Is that it? I feel like I'm forgetting something. So easy. And I like this cake because you don't have to worry about over mixing it because it doesn't have any baking powder or anything in it. Let's taste it. It's a little bit too sweet for me, which basically just has to do with the chocolate I use, like the dark chocolate, I think it was just kind of a sweet chocolate. So I'm adding a little bit of cocoa powder. I went to school in Hawaii, and while I was there, I realized, oh, I want to try like every tropical fruit that I can find, or every exotic fruit, because they have a lot here. So like on the weekends, I'd go to like Chinatown and find new fruits that I hadn't tried yet. And one time in Chinatown, I found cacao pods. So I took them home and tried it, and the fruit on the outside was like, it was now my #1 fruit. Like it was the best fruit I've ever had. So then I kind of got into it and like obsessed with it. So I did some research and realized like, oh, you can make chocolate at home. And it's like a very extensive process. So I did tons of research. I read everything you could read about it. And at that point I realized there's like some local chocolate farms. So I was able to get some beans from them. The first time I tried to make it, I only just used 1 pod and it got moldy when you tried to ferment it. The fermentation is the hardest part. So the second time worked great. It was like, wow, I made chocolate. And it took like, you know, 3 weeks or something. But that time I had to grind it by hand. And I was planning on just grinding in the blender. It got to a point where it wouldn't get any like smoother after blending it for like 5 hours. So like the day after I finished making that first chocolate, and it was like good tasting, but it wasn't smooth. It wasn't perfectly smooth and like melty. I went to visit my dad in San Francisco, the Bay Area. We went to the farmer's market and I talked to this guy who makes his own chocolate. He told me it's impossible to get silky smooth chocolate using a blender. You have to have a chocolate grinder unless you add oil, which if you see other people make it, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but a lot of other people who make it like online add oil to it and then do it in their blender, and that works, but it still is gonna have like little grains because cocoa beans have cocoa butter in them, which is like the oil, the fat that makes chocolate smooth. Cocoa butter molecules or whatever are like really tiny, and you can't get to them unless you grind it for like days. Or back then they used to do it by hand, and they still do in some places. It's like a stone. You could do that and you grind for like a long time and the stone breaks it down. It still doesn't get like perfectly smooth. So anyways, he's like, you have to buy this chocolate grinder. I bought the chocolate grinder, which is the Premier Wonder grinder from India. It shipped from India. It was like a used one because they're kind of expensive. See, this is why I have a thermometer. My oven's at 450. It's supposed to be at 375. So I'm gonna wait for that to cool down. I'm so excited to eat this. I've been craving chocolate for days. So yeah, once I made chocolate and I realized like how flavorful it could be and like how different it could be depending on how it's made and all this crazy stuff, then I became obsessed with it. Okay, so this is all good. We're gonna put this in the oven for 25 minutes. Okay, while that's baking, we're gonna make some whipped cream to go on top, and I'm trying to decide what flavor. So some options that I like to do for this: salted tahini whipped cream, it's so good. Oh, I'm gonna do raspberry because I have some raspberry sugar. Let me grab it. It's just sugar blended with dehydrated raspberries. I'm so excited for this. It smells so good. The color is not right. This is gonna be a little excessive. I'm gonna add a little piece of beet in here and it's gonna make it very pink. And you won't taste it because it's like tiny. I like this much. Watch this, it's gonna be so pink. If you don't love beets, then you need to try them again. I'm serious. They're not gross like what people think. Like they have this weird flavor. Let's see. Beets with like lemon or something citrus covers out that dirt taste, and then they taste delicious. But my main draw to them is that they're so cute and they're really good for you. So if you don't eat beets, then I don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna add a little more of this. Oh shoot, the beet is at the bottom, it's not blended. I was gonna say it should be pinker than this. I'm adding a splash of maple syrup, a splash of vanilla. Ah, this is so pretty, I love this color. It looks like I'm beautiful paint, oh my goodness. Oh shoot, I found the beet. I'm just gonna eat it. That tastes weird, but you can actually taste the flavor in here, only if you eat the actual piece of beet. So I started cooking when I was 7. The first thing I learned how to make was crepes. My brother taught me. And like one of the best things about my growing up is that I was always allowed to do whatever I wanted in the kitchen. I was really lucky to be able to just like cook growing up if I wanted to. Me and all my siblings all love cooking, and it's because like we did grow up in a mostly ingredient household. My mom made us food. She made dinner like almost every night, which was really nice, and she's an amazing cook. But for like, you come from school and you're starving, if you want something, you make it. It's so good. It's a little bit tart. It's a little bit sweet. Look how pink it is. It's so cute. I think the cake is done. I'm gonna let this cool and I'll be back. Okay, so the cake has cooled down a little bit, so I'm gonna take it out. It's totally sunken, which is totally normal. It's maybe a little extra, but I think because the pan I use is a little deep. I should have put parchment paper on the sides, but I hate putting parchment paper. It takes so long. So just at the bottom, but it will come out. Oh shoot. Do this. Ooh. I want it to be flipped so you can see the top. So there's actually some lava in the inside, which this is the exact same ingredients and very similar to a lava cake. So I'm actually gonna call this a Flourless chocolate lava cake. It's like totally lava in the inside. So I'm just using a Ziploc bag. I do have piping bags that I use sometimes, but they're dirty right now. So this is just what I'm gonna do. This is the best way to put frosting into a piping bag. You put it into a cup, flip it like this, and then you can fill it. A little bit, or whatever. Close this. Oh, that's lava. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh my goodness. Just like really light. Let's get a bigger bite of that. Okay. That was fun baking with you guys. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video, like baking with me, or what you want me to make. But I probably will do more like this. The other ones will probably be less talkative. I'll just show you how to bake more. And yeah, cheers. I will put the recipe for this in the caption. If you don't want it lava, I'm assuming you guys don't, but it does taste really good. You just put it, I just put it in too thick of a pan. I didn't cook it long enough. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Subscribe if you want. Thanks for the support.